Hi, I'm Anna Barnes.
And I'm Jaden Bowman.
And today we are going to be talking about human rights, which we believe is a deciding issue in the outcome of the presidential election. Human rights is a broad topic that includes things like immigration, racial inequality, the LGBTQ plus community, abortion, and women's rights. All of these popular topics are constantly talked about because in the United States, these minority groups often feel like they are oppressed and discriminated against. As Thomas Jefferson once said, all men are created equal. Equality is not an opinion, but it is a basic human right. However, these topics are controversial, and the interpretation of what is truly justified varies among the presidential candidates. The liberal and conservative sides have contrasting ideas of what the boundaries of equality should be.
Trump's position on immigration. He supports the zero-tolerance policy, which separates families at the border. He also wants to continue building the wall around the border of the United States and Mexico. He plans to end chain migration and the visa lottery system and turn it into a merit-based system, which only allows immigrants of high intelligence into the United States. He supports the United States only accepting fewer than 50,000 refugees per year. He did not allow all immigrants to seek asylum, and the rejections increased over the years throughout his presidency. He also supports deporting immigrants who have lived in the United States for an extended period of time.
Biden does not support the zero-tolerance policy that separates families. He does not support the wall, but he does support making investments and improving screening infrastructure at our ports of entry. He supports a pause in deportation at the beginning of his term if he's elected. He wants to expand resources to immigrants that are already residing in the U.S. for an extended period of time. He wants to make permanent and temporary work visas more accessible. He does not support deporting immigrants who have been here for an extended period of time. He supports DACA, and he wants to make the program permanent on his first day of presidency. He will reverse Trump's cruel policies for those seeking asylum, restore laws that allow anybody to seek asylum in the U.S.
Trump's position on racial inequality. He does not have an outline plan for addressing racial inequality, but he does have a plan to strengthen minority-owned businesses. He has maintained lower employment rates for Black Americans, and he has also addressed healthcare disparities with no specific plan, but only saying more funding is needed for healthcare facilities that serve larger populations of minority groups. But, however, he did tell the group Proud Boys to stand back and stand by at his recent election. The Proud Boys are a far-right, male-only anti-Muslim organization that promotes and engages in political violence. It is seen as an endorsement by some and a bad choice of words by others.
Biden's position on racial inequality. Unlike Trump, Biden actually has an outline plan for addressing racial inequality. He pledges to support minority-owned businesses. He plans to increase access to affordable housing. He plans to invest $50 billion in venture capital specifically for Black and brown entrepreneurs. And he plans to make public universities as well as private, historically Black colleges and university and minority-serving institutions tuition-free for students with household incomes under $125,000.
Trump's position on the LGBTQ plus community. Trump has restricted people of the community to seek asylum in the United States. He has also banned transgender people from serving in the military. In May 2018, the administration went after transgender prisoners, deciding that in most cases, transgender people should be housed according to their assigned sex at birth. The same situation happened with homeless shelters. Trump has supported child welfare agencies that have rejected same-sex couples as prospective parents. He does not support the LGBTQ plus community.
Biden's position on LGBTQ plus community. He plans to reverse the ban on the transgender people in the military. He plans to enact the Equality Act so that individuals of the community are protected under existing civil rights laws. He wants to ensure coverage for comprehensive care, including transitioning care and HIV treatment. He wants to revise the blood donation process so it's based on science and not sexual orientation. He plans to fund holistic homelessness strategies to end youth homelessness in the community. He wants to increase funding for anti-bias and hate crime investigation training. And overall, Biden supports the LGBTQ plus community.
Trump's position on women's rights, including abortion. Trump actually transitioned from pro-choice to pro-life throughout his first run as a presidential candidate. He wants to completely ban abortions with the exceptions of rape, incest, and when a woman's body is in danger. He has shown support for a ban on abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy. He also supports the defunding of the Planned Parenthoods. He supports the overturn of the Supreme Court ruling Roe v. Wade, which protects a woman's right to have an abortion. He has, however, created more jobs for women. The gender pay gap, however, is wider in the White House now than the national average and wider than it was during Obama's term. He has disbanded the White House Council on Women and Girls that tackled inequality.
Biden's position on women's rights, including abortion. Biden has a specific plan involving women's rights. He will start by fighting for equal pay, investing in women-owned businesses, and strengthening pay and benefits in careers disproportionately filled by women. He will expand access to high-quality, affordable health care for all women. He will work with advocates to pass the Equal Rights Amendment so women's rights are explicitly in our Constitution. He will end discrimination against pregnant and nursing women. He supports the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, which ensures that employees offer women with accommodations when they have limited abilities due to medical conditions, pregnancies, or childbirth. He pledged to choose a woman for his vice president, and he did. And he pledges to choose a woman for any Supreme Court openings within his terms.
I couldn't. If given the chance to vote in this election, the clear competitor for us is the Democratic candidate, Joe Biden. We believe Biden is more progressive and his liberal views fit our morals. Biden's mission to ensure equality for women, minorities, immigrants, and people of the LGBTQ+ community appeal much more to us than Trump's do.
I personally believe that Trump treats human rights as a choice rather than as human rights. Ensuring equality means everybody will be equal. It does not mean that you are getting any rights taken from yourself. Only that you are allowing others the same privileges that you already have. I believe that anybody should have the right to seek asylum, and that if immigrants come into the U.S. legally, they should have equal rights. The process of becoming legal should also be much easier to decrease the amount of illegal immigration. Those who have lived here their whole lives should never be deported. I am personally pro-choice. Women should have the right to decide when it comes to their bodies. I don't understand why people judge others for this. If you don't like it, then don't do it. Biden's views align with my ideas of morality much closer than Trump's views do. Like I said, equal rights do not take away from your rights, so the fact that the LGBTQ+ community's rights are even in question just because of their sexual preference or gender identity is disgusting to me. We are still people. Equality and empowerment for minority groups is extremely important to me, and I believe that Biden cares about this much more than Trump does, because even if Trump does share some of Biden's goals, Biden has several more priorities invested in minorities than Trump does.
I believe that Biden is much more progressive with his views than Donald Trump is. I don't think Donald Trump is treating human rights as seriously as he should be. I find myself relating to Biden's views much more than I do to Trump's. I believe it should be easier for immigrants to become a U.S. citizen when seeking asylum, and I feel that an immigrant citizenship should not expire, and we need for there to be more permanent visas, which Biden is pushing for. When it comes to the racial injustice in the United States, Trump has no specific outline for what should be done, but Biden, however, does have specific outlines for multiple topics, such as racial inequality and women's rights. Biden plans to pass an Equal Rights Amendment so that women's rights can be in our Constitution. He also supports an act that helps women workers get the accommodations they need. When dealing with the rights of the LGBTQ community, Trump has been extremely aggressive. He wants to ban people from being in the military, and he wants to just restrict the people of the LGBTQ community to seek asylum in the United States. I feel that when you are seeking a safe haven, no matter what your situation is, you should be able to. When it comes to Biden, he has planned to protect members of the community under the Equality Act. I relate much more to Biden's views on human rights and his progressiveness.